Avatar Frontiers of Pandora releases on December 7th, 2023, and in this video, I'll give you some information on the story, the open world, and combat to explain why you should not buy this game for full price. The story begins as an unnamed Na'vi main character is captured at a young age and trained to fight for humans. He escapes and ends up returning to the Na'vis in an attempt to discover his origins. This ultimately leads him to organizing the Na'vi tribes to push back the humans before they can deplete Pandora of its natural resources. Overall, it's the same story as the films, but with different characters, kind of what's expected from an Avatar game. They really can't stray too far from the source material. Lightstorm Studios, who are the film studio for Avatar, was heavily involved in the making of this game and provided their insight on the assets and overall direction of the game. Finally, this is an entirely standalone adventure, and the story does not follow any particular storyline from the movies. However, there are small Easter eggs mentioned throughout the game of characters from the movies, which is nice to see. From clips alone, the world is absolutely visually stunning, extremely vibrant and dense, an extremely high level of graphical fidelity in this world, ray trace reflections, shadow patterns, as well as lighting physics, which frankly look amazing. The world is also densely populated with dynamically moving and independently acting animals, NPCs, and fauna. The world has a weather cycle, can fly high above the clouds, and this means that the weather is actually based on physical cells in the world and not just a physical state that the world happens to be at a certain time. So if you wanted to, while it's raining, you could fly high above the clouds and it wouldn't be raining above the clouds, which mimics what it's like in real life. Sound is actually ray traced as well, and this means that the sound bounces around and through structures. So depending on your positioning, certain sounds can be muffled or louder, and this just increases overall immersion within the game. A huge part of the game is hunting and gathering, and while you hunt, killing animals with Na'vi weapons allows you to fully harvest the meat, while killing them with machine guns spoils the harvest. About 5 hours in, you'll unlock the Ikran, the aerial mount that Ubisoft has been showing so much in their gameplay footage, and it opens up tons of new elements of aerial combat as well as traversal mechanics for the player. Finally, in this world, there's a fully fleshed out food and cooking system. This allows you to forage for and craft different combinations of food, which will give your character specific buffs based on the food and the food combinations. Different foods appear on different areas and in different environmental conditions. You'll find a certain type of plant and food in a different area with different weather patterns than other areas that could be more dry or more rain dense. There's also a food picking mechanic which requires you to use the triggers and thumbsticks to forage for some of the special foods. I personally feel like people either love or hate this. Some people don't really care about putting that much effort to picking foods, but some people enjoy it. Some people prefer to just hold square or X to get the food. Moving on to combat. Similar to Far Cry, there's a lot of military installations throughout the world. A lot of them are extremely similar to one another, which increases the amount of bloat in the game, unfortunately. This is the classic Ubisoft gameplay loop. Someone on Reddit went so far as to say this is looking like Far Cry Pandora. There's a skill tree which enhances the abilities of the character while providing new abilities and special moves. For example, there's one move that allows you to bypass some of the combat that you have to do with the mech enemies. So a lot of the times in the beginning of the game, you have to use the eagle vision like ability, which is called the Na'vi sense, to highlight weak points on the mech, but this ability lets you bypass all of that and save you a lot of weapons and ammo by just letting you pierce through the glass and kill the person in the mech. This game also has various weapons at your disposal that can be used differently depending on the scenario. For example, if you need a quick and inaccurate style of gameplay, say you're kind of doing a run and gun, you can use a light bow, which lets you shoot really fast, but probably you would be more inaccurate and you wouldn't deal as much damage. But maybe if you're going for more of a stealthy and pick people off from a distance play style, you would use a heavy bow. There's also different kinds of ammunition, so you can use fire tip arrows, grenade arrows, and many other different kinds of arrows to help you take out a lot of these military installations, which you'll probably be doing throughout the game. Moving on to human weapons, so far there are machine guns, shotguns, and there's also a rocket launcher to take down those big boys. But as of now, there are no melee weapons. However, all melee attacks already one-shot human enemies in their base form, so that means without any mechs or any enhancements. Now, the base game will be priced at about $69.99, while the gold and ultimate editions, which include the pre-order bonus, season passes, and other goodies, are $109.99 and $129.99 respectively. But as visually stunning as this game is, it really is just a mask for a very safe and very generic formula that Ubisoft is known for putting into their games. It seems to hold well at launch with steady performance and very minimal bugs, and if you love this cookie cutter Ubisoft formula or the Avatar lore, then I would suggest getting this game at launch. But otherwise, you should probably wait for the massive Ubisoft holiday sale to hopefully snag this at a heavily discounted price. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.